and hopefully he'll be able to join us a little later on before we wrap up. But we believe that he's one of the only HBCU presidents that have aged out of foster care and out of the system. So he went from being in care, like many of you, to ascending to becoming an HBCU president. And what that should tell you personally, young people, is that anything is possible if you believe in yourself and you have faith and you have hope. So we're happy to see you, and we appreciate you joining us for this morning's discussion. This is a historic week, a special day, and an exciting time. And so today's discussion will focus on Livingstone College's Center for Hope and its foster care aging out initiative. We have a number of experts that are going to join us shortly on this panel from a national perspective, from the state perspective, and from a local perspective. And so before I get started, I want to just get our panel seated. I'm going to have each panel member come out and introduce themselves, and then we'll get our discussion started. But before I do that, my name is Fred Harris. I am a national consultant with the Annie E. Casey Foundation. And part of our work is to support innovation, reform, child and family services, and ultimately help communities become better at functioning and focusing on well-being, and communities and families and children living a better, sustainable life as you function in society. So with that being said, I want to bring out our first panel guest, Marcella Middleton. Come on out and join us. Give her a hand, folks. Marcella, just have a seat, and hopefully that mic is working. And instead of me reading a bio, why don't you just tell us a little bit about who you are, your work, and what's brought you to this work?
Yeah, thank you, Fred, so much. And thank you all for being here. I'm really excited to talk about what we're going to be talking about today. My name is Marcella Middleton, and there's so much more to me that I can, share in just this moment. But I experienced foster care at the age of 2. I aged out at 21. I did get my social work degree because the person who was one of the people who were really prominent in my life was a social worker, so I wanted to follow that. And I got my degree in social work. I started training social workers and had that lens from being a social worker to also being a young person in the foster care system, and shared that and supported social workers as they were, learning about, how to better support young people and their families. And I've done a lot of work with Say So. For those of you who may not know Say So, which you should if you don't, it's a youth-led organization that's geared toward young people who are currently in foster care, as well as young people who are alumni of the foster care system. And what we do is work to change and transform the foster care system and any other substitute systems or, systems that young people are in and experiencing, so they don't have to experience a lot of the things that myself and other young people have experienced. So that organization really was the catalyst to my whole career. And now I'm currently at a national organization. I'm the CEO, which I think is an okay name, right? But like the thing that's important about
Wait a minute. You went by that quick.
I know.
You are a CEO.
Yes.
You graduated from college,
yes.
And you aged out of foster care?
Yes.
Give her a hand, folks. That's big. We can't let that go by without acknowledging that. Congratulations, Marcella.
Thank you so much, Fred. And our work is really important because what we're trying to do is end homelessness for young people. We know that a lot of young people come out of systems and they go straight into homelessness. And so our goal is to work through policy and transform policy and systems so that young people do not have to experience that anymore. But I'm appreciative of my role, not just because of the title, but because we are actively shifting power to those who have lived expertise. So that's a little bit about me, and I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marcella. Give her another hand. Thank you. Okay. Our next guest is Donna Reed. Many of you know Donna Reed. Donna, why don't you come out? Thank you for being here, and tell us a little bit about yourself. Yeah, wherever you want to sit at.
Hey, family. So I'm Donna Reed. A lot of you call me Grandma. I aged out of foster care myself. I spent my life in foster care. My mother, who raised me, got me out of an orphanage, thank God for her, and became the consistency and the love and support that I needed to be who I am today. Aged out at 18, got married, 19 pregnant, 20 first baby, 21 second baby, 22 third baby, 23 single parent, because he was abusive and he didn't know anything about being a husband. I didn't know anything about being a wife, but I thought that was a safety net. So I realized a lot of what young people face when they age out of the foster care system. But I promised myself, even at a young age, that if there was anything I could ever do for a young person aging out of foster care or in foster care, that I would want to do that, and I would do that. And I am at that time in life where I am able to dedicate that. So I founded the organization Home for Me, a voice for teens aging out of foster care. Home stands for hope, opportunity, mentoring, and education. And our goal is to be that consistency and that family for every young person that we can come in contact with that is in the system, and make sure they have a smooth ride into success, that they are healthy, wealthy, and wise on the journey. And again, avoiding homelessness and making sure that they have the higher education that they desire. And one of the things I want to say, that I will continue to say, in that it is fully funded without them worrying about where they're going to or how they're going to pay for it.
A home for me. So important, Donna. Thank you for everything that you're doing. We appreciate you. Heard a lot of good things about your work and your commitment to this work. Thank you. Okay, George Montgomery is from Rowan County, and we appreciate him being here today. He works with Rowan County Children and Family Services, the Department of Social Services, and I'm going to let him talk a little bit about his role and tell us a little bit about himself as he slides in with the pink and tie with the pink pants. I see you, George. I see you.
Thank you, Fred. Good morning, everyone. Excuse me, my name is George Montgomery. I am the foster care licensing social worker here at Rowan County Department of Social Services, not far from here. I live in Charlotte, originally from New Orleans, Louisiana, where I grew up at, and I've been with this agency, DSS, for about 7 years now. Previously to that, I worked with a private agency in Mecklenburg County, where we deal with foster care. My job, my specific job, is training and licensing the people that care for these children who are in need of being safe, kept safe, and nurtured, loved. So my job is to work with these families, be their support system, and then help them to help these children. By training, I'm also an ordained minister, elder, and chaplain. And so we believe in prayer, and we believe in working with these children. And I'm just honored to be here today to share my story with you all and how we can help these kids achieve a whole lot more than what possibly in our generations failed to have that resource. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Thank you. I think it's so important to make sure that we have the system folks and leaders represented in this discussion as well, because part of the transformation and reform efforts will include the community, the youth, families, and those who manage systems. And with that being said, our next guest is Denise Steele Campbell from Mecklenburg County. She's the assistant director, and I'm going to let her talk to you about her experience and her role in this work. Give Denise a hand.
So good morning, everyone. I am Denise Steele Campbell, and I'm the Deputy Director of Mecklenburg County Youth and Family Services. I've been in the field of social work for about 20 years now. I started off as a social worker who worked a caseload of adolescents, and that was my passion. I've always enjoyed working with adolescents and trying to make a difference, trying to be there when no one else was there. So as my role as Deputy Director, I take it very, very seriously. I want to make sure that we as the system understand the needs of young people, that we are doing all that we can do to ensure that every youth, every young adult that's involved in the foster care system have the same opportunities, the same advantages that my children have. So this is it's not just a job for me, it's my passion, and I look forward to providing more information today and learning from you as well.
Thank you, Denise. Give her a hand. Our fifth panel guest really needs no introduction. I pick on her all the time. This is my big sister. Pat Newell from Cuyahoga County, but she's a national consultant, worked with the Annie E. Casey Foundation. And Pat, we saved you for last because we know how special and unique, and we know that you don't like this. So that's why I'm picking on you. So Pat, tell us a little bit about yourself, and thank you for being here this morning.
Yes, I am going to try to ignore Fred Harris. So I am from the Midwest, and I have to say that my very first time of being introduced to North Carolina was when Fred brought me into town in 2011, because Johnson C. Smith University was kicking off a venture very similar to this and had a president, much like the president here today, who had a passion for young people that were aging out and was an adoptive parent himself. So a little bit about me. So I come from Cuyahoga County, where I have returned 2 years ago to take a role with our county again. And my work for 32 years has been working with young people at every level of being in the foster care system. I'm also a 20-year veteran foster parent. I have had children in my home from infants to, me and my husband specialized in taking in teenagers. The first thing that the agency told us where we trained is that nobody wanted the teens. And me and my husband said, well, we do. So we started getting, our first placement was an older young person. I have to say, we did not have any children of our own, so kudos to those that cannot do that because they have their own family they're raising, but we were in a position to do that, and we did that. We were named Foster Parent of the Year 3 years running until we stopped accepting the award. So it was a passion for me. My work at Johnson C. Smith that I just left 2 years ago, I did it for 13 years. I instituted the program that is now known as Phasing Up, which is their student support program for young people who are coming to the university that have experienced foster care. I was brought there from the Annie Casey Foundation, where me and my colleague come from, and so he introduced me to the president when he found out they were starting this work, and he suggested that they get a person like me to run this work. And he was smart enough over time to do it. So I missed the students. I was so proud to see Livingstone. Y'all look so good out there today.
Yeah.
Like, the students are everything to me. And the HBCU experience is amazing. And I just want to say, I was talking to Fred in the car this morning, and I told him my parents were not college educated, so they were just happy that I was going to college. So they didn't think to send me to a HBCU. But I absolutely would have given anything to go to one. So I thank you guys for those that are here today, and I hope that our conversation helps y'all with something that y'all got going on right now.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Pat. I like picking on Pat. So we are set. The table is set. A couple of other housekeeping quick acknowledgments. We want to thank Life Skills Foundation, Rashida Bryant, and Paul Grapowski. We also want to thank the NAACP National Board and Scott X for their support around this panel discussion. And so with that, let's get into it. We have a video that we want to show you. And this is a really interesting video. For all of you young people who are in care or may have once been in care, we want you to pay close attention to this video that we're going to show you. Because what it does is it highlights young people like yourself who were once in care, but then evolved and turned their life around to become successful, productive individuals. So Ezekiel, let's show the video, and then when you
Livingstone College's 13th president, Dr. Anthony J. Davis, is a survivor of the foster care system. Having emancipated himself at the age of 17, he did everything within his power to avoid the mean streets of his urban community and quickly joined the United States Air Force. He was born to a teenage mother who was only 14 years old. The day he was born, his grandmother, their intended caregiver, died. He and his mother both became wards of the state of Connecticut. Dr. Anthony Davis, Hollywood actress and comedian Tiffany Haddish, and former NFL superstar quarterback Colin Kaepernick all have one thing in common. They survived the American foster care to prison pipeline.
Please welcome Colin Kaepernick.
The off-season for Colin Kaepernick looks much different these days. The 35-year-old has a nonprofit.
You're already creating community.
Empowering Black and brown youth, a publishing company, and media projects, including a docuseries on Netflix and an upcoming documentary with director Spike Lee.
Growing up, I think still am a pretty introverted person. I hope it's true to form, and that's just kind of how I navigate the world. I know my parents love me, but there were still very problematic things that I went through. I think it was important to show that, no, this can happen in your own home, and how we move forward collectively while addressing the racism that is being perpetuated.
He took cues from his icon, basketball star Allen Iverson, who he said wore his blackness like a suit of armor. And teenage Kaepernick wanted cornrows to match. He's getting what roles, his mom asked?
Oh, your hair's not professional. Oh, you look like a little thug.
Your mom said that to you.
Yeah, and those become spaces where it's like, okay, how do I navigate this situation now? But it also is informed why I have my hair long today. When y'all are in that position, you have the opportunity to change things.
Kaepernick's story continues with his advocacy and trying to return to the NFL.
Colin, what is it like for you all these years later to be pushing and still not getting a yes?
You know, very similar to the messaging of the book is I don't have control over all of these situations, but I control how I respond to it. I control how I prepare for it. I'm a believer that in doing that, good things will happen.
There's a natural kinship with others in the foster care world. Tiffany Haddish is one of them. Tiffany is one of the most famous faces on the comedy scene. We know she got her start at the Laugh Factory in West Hollywood.
And I'm gonna have a couple of different baby daddies. I'm gonna have like 4 or 5 different ones. That's 4 or 5 different checks coming in. That's good money.
But the backstory she shared with me is anything but funny.
I was in foster care and my social worker was like, you got 2 choices this summer, psychiatric therapy or comedy camp. And I was like, which one got drugs? She said, you're probably gonna be on some kind of medication when you go to therapy. I said, well, then I'll go to the comedy camp.
You're joking, right?
No, they're serious.
How much did foster care play into your early stand-up?
I didn't bring any of it because I was ashamed. I was so ashamed I didn't really like telling people.
She says her childhood changed after her mother got in a car accident and mental illness set in.
She suffers from schizophrenia, and watching her on the different medications, then figuring out what was right for her, I mean, that had an effect on me.
She's among a list of famous faces who experienced foster care: Marilyn Monroe, Simone Biles, Steve Jobs. You get emotional when you talk about your birth family.
Because I love them.
Thursday, September 21st at 10 a.m. at Varick Auditorium on the campus of Livingstone College. Come here to plan on how Livingstone plans to be one of the leading voices on solutions dealing with foster care in Black America. Come here to Visions for the Center4Hope, Thursday, September 21st at 10 a.m. at Varick Auditorium on the Livingstone College campus.
Thank you for that, Ezekiel. You know, one of the things that strikes me about watching that video is the importance of, you know, it's really not important about where you start, but it's about where you finish. And no matter what circumstances you young people find yourselves in today, what you should take away from today is that from the highest heights in society, from professional athletes to college professors and presidents to CEOs to athletes, that anything is possible if you have hope and you believe in yourself. And so we appreciate you being here today, and we want to talk a little more about how you can learn more about creating a life for yourself that's sustainable and successful. You know, the key that I take away from those messages is that if you have faith, determination, family, love, and hope, anything is possible. And it's interesting when we talk about hope. I was on the flight over here from Florida. I was thinking about the Center4Hope, which Livingstone College and Dr. Davis is in the process of establishing. But I was thinking about the word hope. And I remembered in the early 80s, Jesse Jackson was running for president. And during his campaign, his slogan was, "Keep hope alive." And then I was thinking about Jesse Jackson's campaign, and then it dawned on me that Barack Obama, when he ran for president, his slogan was the audacity of hope. And so this hope thing started resonating with me in a way that I was thinking about it. And now Livingstone College and Dr. Anthony Davis's vision is establishing a Center for Hope. And hope is a necessary ingredient to overcome adversity. And so we want to jump into some discussion this morning about hope, about opportunities to be better, to talk about the challenges that are a part of your life and your journey. But more importantly, we want to lift up the significance that no matter what you've been through in your life, if you focus and do what you need to do, you can succeed. Do you agree with me?
Yes.
Oh, y'all sound kind of flat. Okay, let me ask you this. Those of you that are here by show of hands, how many of you have ever spent time in foster care? Raise your hand. If you've ever been in foster care. Okay. Okay, so there are quite a few of you here today. And that's nothing to be ashamed of. Some of the greatest folks that we know of went through foster care. So that's fine. Okay, let's get into it. Panel, thank you for being available. First question. Why are there so many problems and challenges with the foster care system? What's going on? I mean, how come things aren't working smoothly? How come children oftentimes go into foster care with the effort to try to keep them safe and to do better, but oftentimes don't do better? So the first question, and anyone can take it, is why are there so many problems and challenges with the foster care system, in your opinion? Anyone want to take it?
I guess that would be me. So as a system, foster care is defined as temporary substitute care, meaning that when DSS become involved, our goal is not for children to come into our custody. Our goal is to provide services and resources to enhance the family dynamic, and then we want to back out. We do not want, I tell my social workers this all the time, I don't want any of us to have jobs. I don't want any of us to have jobs being in the child welfare system. That means if we're not in the child welfare system, then families' needs are being met without us. That's what we want. So unfortunately, due to family dynamics, family situations, kids are placed into our custody. Our goal is to have all children return home to their biological parents or to their family within 1 year. Unfortunately, sometimes that doesn't always happen. Some families are able to get involved with us and do what is necessary for their children to return home and be successful in returning home. Unfortunately, that's not the case for all families. Our goal is when a child is placed into the foster care system, we don't want a child to be placed with a foster parent. If they can't be with your biological parent, then we want you to be placed with your family. We are considered in Mecklenburg County a kin first agency, and what that means is that we don't want to use foster parents. We want you to be with your family members, your aunt, uncle, cousin, grandmother, or what's called a fictive kin, your teachers, coaches, those that you have a connection with. So we don't want to tear that family unit apart. We want to enhance it. We want to support that. What I'm finding is within the system, we have a lack of foster parents. We have foster parents who have maybe fostered for years and years and then have decided that they don't want to do it any longer. So that results in children, unfortunately, having to be in non-traditional placements, such as group homes. You all may have heard of group homes or been in group homes. But we just really don't have the commitment and support from the community. I shared with the panel here that we at DSS, we can't do it by ourselves. We have to rely on the community. We have to rely on others to help us because as a community, we can only do so much. So there are so many systems in place, luckily with Donna and Pat and others who have agreed to partner with DSS so that we can meet the needs of our kids. We don't want our kids to have to age out of foster care. If you can't within 1 year reunify with family, then we want to reunify you with someone else. So that is not our goal. We try very hard as a system to ensure that we're meeting the needs of kids and families, that we're doing what's in the best interest of kids. But one thing that I appreciate, I'm going to toot my own horn here, is that as the deputy director, I always share with my social workers, my supervisors, my managers, everyone that reports up to me, is that my door is always open. You all may have heard that before, but I strategically leave my door open of my office except when I'm in a meeting. And when kids come to the office, they know that they have to bring the kids to Denise's office, because I want to hear. I don't want to be so far removed that I'm putting policies and practices in place and it's not benefiting the kids and families that we're supposed to help. So I think that the community as a whole is not aware of what the needs are, and we at DSS in Mecklenburg, we're doing a better job now in reaching out and saying this is what we need for our children and families. So I think a part of the problem, Fred, is that some may not know what the needs are. We've been very guarded at DSS of protecting our kids. Well, we realize that we can't do that anymore, that we have to connect and work with others so that everyone is successful.
Yeah, thank you for that, Denise. It's interesting when you mentioned not enough foster homes. In North Carolina, I saw some recent data that talked about, there's around 11,000 to 12,000 children roughly a year in foster care in North Carolina, and there are only 5,000 licensed foster homes. So that means that oftentimes when children don't have a home, they have to live or stay somewhere else that's not always best for them. And so thank you for sharing that. Clearly there's more work that needs to be done. And that leads me to, how can the foster care system get the community more involved, to be involved and support this challenge? Because if the system is investigating and keeping children safe, the other part of this is the community's involvement. But oftentimes there's a disconnect between community and public systems. So the question, and anyone can take it, is how do we get the community more involved so that they know that in truth there's a crisis in foster care? It's not business as usual. There's a crisis in foster care because many of the children who come into care don't have a home, and so the system has to really struggle hard to find placement. So anyone want to touch that? How do we get the community more involved? Don,
yes, I would love to. First of all, is raising awareness is so important. It is major and it is key. Raising awareness to what is happening with our young people, what they're facing, what they're going through. Every time I meet someone and they say, well, what do you mean? What happens to them when they age out? Well, what do you mean? What? Is this what's going on? Raising awareness is going to be key because there are people out here that could do something. I know we're very careful and strategic about not take them into foster care, become a foster parent, but to become a part of their lives. Become that consistency in their lives, because we can all do this together. Together we can do this for our young people. So for example, if someone is aware that there is the need, as Denise was just saying, and the crisis, as you just mentioned, and then they say, well, here's a part that I can do. This is something that I can do. We have a philosophy that says, together we win. It says college, community, corporate, and church. Together, we can provide everything they need. However, if they don't know, and don't know what's going on, and don't know that there's young people in their pews, young people in their classroom, or young people in their community, then they will not know what their part can be. And so I think raising awareness is key. I think training and teachers, I believe churches, I think that is key because we have an opportunity to reach them on a community level. Organizations that are in the community, when they know, they'll do. And I just believe that. And then one of the other things that I would say, so that we cannot minimize the fact that the crisis that there is, but we can minimize the impact, the negative impact that it's having on our young people. And we can do that by being the ones that step up and care. Not walk by our young people. I'm talking about any young person. Not walk by them and not say anything. We act today like we're afraid to speak to our kids or speak to them, but yet we'll talk about them. And when we were growing up, I'll just talk about me. You see the color of my hair. I've been here for a minute. When we were growing up, we were told you are to only speak when spoken to. right? So we could not say a whole lot. We had to do it. And now you see young people crying out because people aren't speaking to them and they don't feel like they can speak back. And so again, you know, the shame that may come behind it. I'm going to share this with our young people that are here. And if you are in the system, he started out with the hope. Keep that hope alive. Every place that you go, make the best of it. Organizations like what we're doing and what a lot of the organizations are doing, they're saying, what do you need? We're here for you. I think one of the concerns that I have is that when a young person is placed from place to place and that disconnect from where they were placed with or disconnect from that social worker or that consistency they had in their life, that's traumatic. That's traumatic. So if you have people that are consistent in their lives, the church, the organization, the friends, the family, then that connection stays. They know they're not alone, no matter where they are, no matter where they live, no matter who's, you know, in their life. They can say, hey, this is what I'm going through. We have some young people right now here at Livingstone. We're calling them on a constant basis. Hey, how you doing? What's going on? What you need? And we want them to know, and we want all of them to know, everybody we come in contact, we're here and we care. And so don't be ashamed. There's a lot of us. They just showed the video. There's a lot of us that have come through the foster care system. But we can make this work, but we've got to be aware of it.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for that, Pat. Yeah.
I just want to piggyback. Donna is so spot on, as were Denise's comments. So part of the work that I do where I live now and what I did for Annie Casey was called strategic partnerships. And as Donna and Denise were talking, I was thinking about the fact that you have to be intentional about partnering strategically with others that might bring something to the table that you don't have. In my role at JCSU, Donna, I mean, she called me probably once a week. What do any of your students need? Is anybody need a place to go while they're on break? Denise, same spirit, and even at her level. And I actually want to bounce back to Denise for 1 second because this is important, I think, to say to this audience. In my role with Annie Casey, I was privileged to travel all over the country to look at this work. And I was always struck and amazed by how many African Americans were sitting in the seats that Denise is sitting in today. And I remember thinking how important that was because I was testifying on before the U.S. Senate in the early 90s on the reasonable efforts. That's a whole nother long story. And one of the senators, John D. Rockefeller III, I'll never forget this as long as I live, and he said to me while I was testifying, Pat, where is the black intelligentsia around this issue of foster care? He said, we know that it's your kids that are overrepresented in this system. Why aren't you guys crying out blood in the streets? This is what this white man, if I might say, said to me as an African-American woman. Where are your people on this issue? He wrote me a letter when I got back home and thanked us all for our time, thanked me for my time. But I'll never forget him challenging me. What are you doing as African Americans? This is your problem. Y'all need to own it. It's in your backyard. So seeing people like Denise, seeing people like Livingstone, the president of this university, Dr. Davis, step forward and take this on, it is huge. When Denise says she strategically keeps her door open, that's because these kids coming through her agency doors, they look like her children. This is personal. And I used to tell people when I was at Smith, and I heard Donna say they call her grandma or something, and I couldn't hear the end of it. And when I was at Johnson C. Smith, my students called me Mama Newell, and one of the professors went to the president and said, I don't think it's a good idea that these students are calling her mama. She's not their mama. And he said, you don't even know what that means. That's a term of endearment. That means she handling business like a mama. And he said, and they will call her that until the day she leaves this university. So I appreciated what Donna said when she said that's what they call her, because you got that covering. So I just want to say to Livingstone, as you embark upon, and to the students sitting here especially, If you're in this program, whether you've been in foster care or not, you got to rally around each other. You got to reach out and ask for help. There is no shame. I'm going to say this one more thing, and then I'm through. I might not say nothing else this morning. But I remember in the late 1980s, people were ashamed to say that they had grown up in the projects, in public housing, especially people that had risen to some power, some authority in their world of work. And all of a sudden, these famous people started coming out with, you know, well, I come from the projects of California, of this city, of that city. And then everybody started wanting to tell their real story. But let me say this, y'all. Coming from an institution of slavery and our introduction to this country, there aren't many black people that can say they didn't travel that road. And making it a shameful statement was the worst thing that we could have ever done. We needed to be empowering people that had come from those walks of life. So I'm happy about this panel today. I appreciate this sister right here, because we are saying now, speak your truth. We're listening. We hear you, and we're here for you. Thanks.
Yeah, give her a hand. Thank you for that, Pat. We're going to get to you, Marcella and George, in a moment, but I wanted to highlight something that Donna and Pat talked about. And a lot of folks don't know that within the foster care system, black children have the poorest outcomes. That means that if a white family or a Hispanic family or a black family come to the attention of child welfare or the courts, oftentimes for the same concern around safety, black children are removed more often, they stay in care longer, and they have the poorest outcomes when it comes to these public systems. And so when I hear Donna and I hear Pat talk about it, I wanted to underscore what they were talking about around the significance and the urgency and the importance of the community understanding what's really happening. Because in my experience, Denise, communities will get involved if the systems tell the truth to the communities about what's really happening. And in that conversation, when systems tell the community the truth, what happens is the community becomes informed, oftentimes concerned. That conversation compels them to want to become more involved. The history in our community has always been, whether it was Martin Luther King or Malcolm X, to come to the community and talk to the community, and that conversation energized the people to want to be active, right? And so if we're going to fix these challenges with the foster care system, we have to find a way to get the community involved, and part of that is being honest, saying to the community that, you know what, if you're a black boy in child welfare, you're probably going to be in care a lot longer than other people, because there's not a lot of people lining up to adopt you or to bring you in their home as a foster child. And so these types of conversations get the attention of the community, which compels them to want to get involved. So we got to tell the truth to the community. I want to shift for a moment and go to Sister Marcella. Marcella, being a young, smart, young sister on the panel, there's a lot of perceptions about teens and young adults, that folks don't want to adopt them, folks don't want to work with them. Why do you think there is this, because you are a young person that has done so well and has ascended to such an awesome accomplishment, why do you think the perception that surrounds young people is the way that it is?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So I will say, like, and I appreciate all the compliments too, but I was that young person that nobody wanted. Only a select few people who were willing to deal with me. I think a lot of times people don't understand developmentally where teens are, period. I think as a society we don't understand where they are, and if we do, we don't have a lot of patience for it. And then when you start to layer on, you know, traumatic experiences, those adverse experiences that young people have, you have, you know, people are getting more like, oh, I can't do this, you know, and I think it's, you know, especially people like yourself and your husband and folks like you all who are invested in young people and other folks, and shout out to Ms. Carmelita, because she's been invested in young teenagers since I've known her, since I was 13. And it's people like that that really shift the view. But again, people are afraid because young people are just young people. They're trying to figure things out. They have this very like radical spirit, and very importantly, radical spirit, that they're trying to figure out their own autonomy. I know I was. When I was in foster care, I went from being at home, handling business when my mom was not handling business. So I was parentified very young, very early. And I went into a system that wanted to put me back in a child's place. And they weren't really mindful of like, okay, where is she really at developmentally? Again, it falls back to what Fred was saying in terms of truth, the honesty, and like how we're navigating these young people who are coming in our systems. Are we actually meeting them where they are, or are we trying to put them in a place that we think they are? And I think that's missed a lot of times. And so young people are really rebellious, like, hold on, because I was like, shut it down, sister. You're not gonna tell me what to do, because baby girl been out here making money, baby girl been out here paying bills, like I've been taking care of my family, so you're not gonna shut me down. And a lot of times that happens. It's a huge disconnect. And I think, people want to make assumptions about why we do things that we do when we're young and we're teenagers and we're trying to navigate life. It's a lot of assumptions. Okay, you ran away because you don't like me and you don't want my help, and it ain't about you, sweetie. It's like, I'm navigating so much. For me, I grew up in Colorado where you could get on a bus and go to Timbuktu. You could get anywhere. So I was like doing a lot of things that at my age I should not have been doing, but it was because I had access to the bus. When they moved me here to North Carolina, I said, baby, it's a bunch of cotton fields, and where are y'all running to? Like, where are y'all running to? Like, hey, can we have something? Like, can we have like a meeting or something? Because I don't know where y'all are going. Like, and it was hard for me to like navigate here. So a lot of the things that I was doing, it was shut down because I didn't have access to do those things. But there were other things that I was doing. Like in school, I was fighting a lot, got in a lot of trouble. I was in ISS suspension, out of school suspension. I was in all of that. I mean, I had a social worker who was like, I gotta have a social worker assistant with me to pick her up because I don't want her to beat me up, and like I don't know how the conversation gonna go. And I was like, very just like, hey, I have to say this. When you come from a household too where my mom is like, you are the child, I'm the parent, and you don't tell me what's right. That dynamic when you get into a space where like, that these people are not your parents and they can't tell you that, it's like, hold on, I'm gonna keep it a stack with you. I'm not just gonna let you tell me whatever. And like my grandma used to say, I'm not gonna take no wood nickels from nobody. So when I got into care, it was like, I have to know that I can trust you before I will follow your lead, because the people that were placed in my life by God to lead me dropped the ball for whatever reason. Still love them, but they dropped the ball for whatever reason. And so now my trust in terms of following is tarnished. And so we have to work on that together. So I think a lot of times there's just a lot of, like airplanes going, opposite ways. You have adults who are like, I really care about these young people. I want to help them. Here's the resources. And young people like, hold on a minute. There's no trust. I don't think you are respecting or valuing what I'm bringing to the table and trying to meet me where I'm at. So there's so much disconnect where I think it's important to like, hey, let me take this like adultification thing off and just let me try to learn you and like figure out who you are. But again, I just want to shout out all the people, Miss Carmelita, my social worker. There's been a whole bunch of folks that have been in my life and other young people's life who did what I'm saying. Like they actually were like, hold on, I'm not gonna sit here and look at this young person and be like, they grown. Look at their little Daisy Dukes. They ain't, like they're like, hold on, let me get to know this young person and really value and respect who they are. So shout out to all those people.
Yeah, thank you for that, Marcella. What I'm hearing you reference is relationship, authentic relationship. And people can tell that you care for them when you're willing to spend time with them. Yeah.
Yeah, I too want to shout out Ms. Carmelita and the Say So organization.
Where is Ms. Carmelita at?
Yeah.
Where is she? Raise her hand. Hey, Ms. Carmelita, how you doing? Thank you for coming.
Because for people who get it, right? She said something very key. She said, meet me where I am. And what happens, I believe, a lot, and you had asked the question earlier, what's happening with the system. There's a stigma that the older teens, when they come, oh no, they're set in their ways. Oh no, I don't want to deal with nobody older. Actually, they've been through so much. When they get placed, and I hate to say it that way, but it's true, if they have to go someplace, they're going into someplace new, people they don't know, a mattress and a bed that they've never had to sleep in before. And society expects them to adjust immediately. And if they don't, they got the problem. When it's actually right. It's actually we have the problem that we haven't realized what they've been through. They're strangers. We know each other in the house. We're familiar with the house. And then we want them to adjust right away instead of meeting them where they are. And so it is so key and important for us to understand not only what they have been through individually, but what's happening in the system. My youngest daughter, who is now 42, I got her when she was 15. And when I got her, knowing what young people are going through, the first thing I said to her, this is it. Up, down, good, bad, left, right, I don't care what goes on from here, it's you and me. You're not going anywhere. Because so many people, places, and things failed her, as they fail our young people every single day by not knowing. And she didn't understand it right away. I had 3 daughters. She became my youngest daughter. And she didn't get it. But when she saw I treated everybody the same, she got the same love, discipline, food, gifts as everybody else. She knew that I cared and she didn't have to go anywhere. But watch this, because we were talking about this in the back. She had 5 younger siblings that she was worried and concerned about. That's one thing that our young people are worried about, their siblings that are in the system. So they get shifted off or sifted off or moved over here, and they don't know what's happening with them. So not only are they worried about them, they're worried about where they are, what's going to happen to them, and what's going to happen to their younger siblings or even the friends that they might have known been going through some things. So we have to take under much consideration individually and collectively what our young people are going through. And then I want to say this. One thing that really disturbs me is the word group home. Because when a young person has to go to a group home, they are grouped together, and everything, or I'm going to say most of what they have to do as a group. Well, what if I don't feel like going? What if I'm not in that mindset? What if this is not my personality? But I have to go through it. That's why we don't call what we do a program. We call it an experience. They always have to look for the next program. When we say some things like, this young person's getting ready to age out, well, can't they find another program? Why should they have to look for another program to survive? Why can't their path have already been helped out as we would do our own, which is something I know I do, I know Ms. Carmelita does, I know that Denise does, I know that Pat does. We make sure you're not family. I mean, you're not a stranger. You're family to us. And I was saying backstage, and then I'm going to give up the mic for a second, when we have events, we don't have events where you're wearing a name tag. You find out who they are. You find out their name. And when you come to an event, Dr. Davis has spoke at many of our events, he sits wherever. Because we're all important. We're not saying, oh, you're in foster care, you just, no. We don't identify who's in foster care and who's not. Because a lot of our young people are going through some things. And so we invite other young people, so they're with pairs. Not, watch this, showing up at another event, oh yeah, here's everybody, we're all in foster care. No. We've got to treat them like family. That's why everything we do is family style. All of our events, everything. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. I think everything you're saying, it reminds me of the importance for the Center4Hope. Right?
Absolutely.
That's the value of it. Want to shift gears and give Brother George a chance to have a conversation. George, you know women run the world. Our job is to just sit and listen, and then hopefully we can get involved. So the sisters are doing all the talking. But George, working in Rowan County, what's missing right now in the foster care system that's really needed? In your work, when you think about the conversations that have been said, if you had a magic wand and can wave it and just fix things, what's missing? What do systems need in order to catch up with some of the comments and statements that were made?
Thanks, Fred. And I appreciate all of my sisters and mentors here who share the stage with me. And it is representative of, I think, what you just asked. Look at this. These are ladies. I'm the only fella here, okay? So in our system, even in DSS, I'm looking down the hallways, and I'm looking down the different places and the workers, and I'm saying, where's the brothers? Where's the men? See a bunch of females, but where are we? And so that brought me to the point that we as a society have become more reactive than proactive, particularly when it comes to black males. And so we have failed, and I say the system in general has failed our young people because we're trying to do that third grade to prison pipeline business and forgetting about being the father, being the role model. Even if you're not blood, you're still family. Being that role model for that youth, that young person, particularly that male, okay? Someone here is talking about, I believe it was you talking about the projects, or someone was talking about the projects. I was one of those that grew up in the projects of New Orleans. Could name you, drop a few names there that you would recognize immediately, the rappers and all of those things. And
George, you should hang out with Lil Wayne.
Lil Wayne, yeah, Master P, yes. So I've got pictures with them, I know them, grew up with them. They went their way, I went my way. But one thing that I remarkably remember at 12, 13 years old, playing out in the yard, football, grew up in a home without a father, six other siblings, and I said to myself at that age, 12 years old, and all we need to be thinking about as guys is out there playing football. You know, now they're playing soccer and all that kind of stuff. But I was saying that my children would not grow up in a home without a father. That was my commitment to myself, that they would not grow up in a home without a father. I have 3 adult children now. All 3 of them are grown. They have passed 18. They all went to HBCUs. I didn't go to an HBCU in New Orleans, but they all went to HBCUs. They all have their master's degree. 2 are working for doctorate degrees. One of my only son actually worked here at Livingstone with the honors residence. Same name, George Montgomery. So those of you that may have been here for a while may remember George. But again, he's now assistant dean at a college in Texas. So again, the thing is role models, and that's where we push so hard with our families. What these ladies have said is you become the role model. You become that parent. You know, it is temporary, as Denise had said. It is, foster care is not permanent. It's temporary, but now you still have to build those attachments. You still have to build those situations where that one person can make a difference in their life. And we call good losses is when parents wind up adopting some of our children out of foster care. But I tell the parents, I said, now you have to be just like the emergency room doctors. Unfortunately, some of you are going to lose some people that may disrupt, that may go to another home, that may be moved, that may be reunified, but there's 20 other people standing at the door waiting to be seen and to be serviced and to be helped and to be supported. So as a black male, that's where we want to be at. That's where we want to see this. We want to be a part of this community. So it's not just the sisters. It's not just our mothers and our sisters and our aunties and our grandparents, our grandmothers that are doing this, but that the male is taking the rightful role, showing the rightful things to do, taking these youth and loving them as their own.
Thank you for that, George. Thank you. We are up against the clock, so I want to pivot a little bit and talk a little bit about educational attainment. And this is, I want Marcella to follow up on this. So Dr. Davis often says that 84% of foster care kids want to go to college, only 3% actually go to college, and only 1% actually graduate from college. The point is that we don't have enough young people going to college or believing that they can succeed in college. And so Marcella, you having grown up in care and having accomplished that, what advice would you give the young people that are here today who have to figure out how to take care of themselves mentally, emotionally, and succeed academically in college? What would you say to them?
Yeah, can I just reiterate, like, with the statistics that you gave? So I went to college, I went to Pembroke, UNCP. I know this is Livingstone, shout out to y'all, but also shout out to UNC Pembroke. I went there, when I went to college, those numbers were the same as they are now. So
Yes.
Nothing has transitioned. So my advice to young people would be go to college. Baby went to college for the free. So while I'm on Facebook watching everybody else complain about student loans, your girl's not complaining about them, because NC Reach and ETV pays for young people to go to college if you've been in foster care. I would encourage young people, go, go, go. If you know somebody that's in foster care, somebody mentions it, please mention that to them, because it is so important. For me, when I was, for me, when I was younger, one of the things that I saw a lot, and I'll just say this, in honor of my mom, she took a lot of L's so I could take a lot of W's. So she took a lot of losses so I could take a lot of wins. My mom, in the lifestyle that she was living, was not something that I really wanted to live. And so because I had these resources, I was like, I gotta try something different. I gotta try something new. And I took it. And like me going to college, y'all, if I don't know if y'all seen that movie 50 First Dates, where it's the same thing over and over. Baby, if I could go back to college and do it 50,000 times, I would, because that was the time where Marcella was able to figure out who Marcella was. Like, I'm just like, literally, before I went to college, some little girl underneath the hood, like not knowing much about much, you know? And when I went to college, I was able to be like who I really felt in my heart I was. You know how you know, like, hey, I'm that person. I ain't gonna say it anyway, but you know, like, hey, that's me. I felt that when I went to college. Like, I was able to really feel that, because like I tried welding classes, and your girl's good at welding. Like, I was like, oh, you know, if I never would have went to college, I don't think I would have had that experience. Like, I crossed, I'm a Zeta. Nobody in my family is in a sorority or fraternity. I'm a first person, like I'm #1, and plus I'm Ace Club. But you know, like I had that experience. Like I wasn't having to take care of my family. I was able to take care of Marcella and figure out who Marcella was. And so I just took advantage of that time. And like I said, like I was a little tomboy, like straight up, like really straight up little tomboy. When I went to college, I tried to do this pageant, and I was like, this is the first time. I don't know if I'm gonna win. I won. I wasn't even trying to. I just wanted a new experience. And I think it's important for us to give ourselves those chances. And I tell my nephews and young people that I work with now, like, you have to put you first no matter what the people around you are doing. And that's what I did for myself. I put me first, because other people were not putting me first, and that's okay. Like, they don't have the bandwidth for whatever reason. They weren't doing that, and that's whatever, but I had to put me first. And I think that's really important. Like, no matter what's going on around you, you have to put you first. You know what you need more than anybody. If you think about like people who experience like being ableism, like having ableism or whatever, if somebody has to move your legs every day, they're not gonna move them like you would move them. You're gonna be like, hold on, can you move up, you know? So you know what you need best. And a lot of times when we're in foster care, the choice is taken away from us because other people, adults, have to make decisions for us. And so you forget that you have the choice to make decisions in your life, but you have the choice to make decisions in your life. Like, that's up to you. And like, you get to put you first. Like, yeah, when I was in care, it was jacked up. I moved to a lot of different homes. I experienced a lot of different stuff. And I still had to put me first. Like, I didn't want to live that. And one of the biggest things too that I think about now is like, if I wouldn't have put me first and I would have just been like, let my pain, like I would have drowned myself in pain, like trying to do drugs or alcohol, or trying to be out here making a whole bunch of kids I knew I couldn't take care of, like my people would still be doing the same stuff. They would still be talking junk about me. It'd just be worse. Like, so why not live the life that fulfills me and makes me happy? And like, not even worry about that. Like, now I can go on vacation the way I want to. I can dress the way I want to, or live the way I want to, or go get careers. I can do what I want to. I don't have to be confined by my situation or ugly things that people did to me when I was a vulnerable kid. Yeah. So I think it's really important to like put you first, regardless of anything. I don't care. You don't have to have no relationship to put you first. You don't have to have all the goodest friends or the best friends in the world to put you first. All you have to have is you that cares about you, and you say, I'm putting me first, period. Regardless of what's going on around me, I may not have the best, social worker. I may not have the best foster parents. My family may still be on drugs. My mom still is, and baby girl, I'm not letting that stop me. You cannot let those things stop you and hold you back.
Yeah, thank you, Marcella. Thank you. Donna,
Yeah.
so we're kind of coming to the end, so just let's try to keep it brief, and then we're going to go to Denise after Donna, and then Pat.
Okay, Fred, I need to speak to that statistic. 84% of teens in foster care desire to attend college. Less than 3% go, less than 1% graduate. I need to give the why. It's the lack of funding, guidance, support, and housing. If they are in college with no support, no guidance, not knowing how or what is going to happen, or that support that's with them, then we don't know if they even make it through the first semester if they don't have anyone. I have to say this. In the state of North Carolina, yes, NC Reach will pay if they go to a state-run college, but will not if they go to a private, and I'm going to say in this case, HBCU, including Livingstone College, Johnson C. Smith. They will not pay for them to go to a private institution, where I believe legislation has to change. And if there is anyone in this room, whenever we get a chance for a mic and get a chance for a change, we need to speak it. That has to change. Young people across this country should be able to go to the higher education institute of their choice. They have been through enough where people have told them what they can and cannot do going through the system. They should be able to go to the college, the trade school, the higher education of their choice. And watch this. If they go to some other than, say, a college with housing, then where are they going to live? And so this has to change. We have solutions, and those solutions have to be looked at.
Yeah.
And so I needed to say that because it's so key, and that is the reason why our partnership, Home for Me's partnership with Livingstone College to build the Center for Hope is so key. Because when we and I'm gonna say the word historic again, signed that historic agreement with Livingstone College, they said, no matter what, if these young people come to Livingstone College, we are going to make sure, if this is their desire, watch this, the criteria, they got to want this. And they have to desire a bachelor's degree. Home for Me will make sure your essentials, your needs, your whatever it is you need is there. And the college is going to make sure your education and your housing is taken care of. But I do need to say this because I don't want this to go out with the wrong wording. Your college is not free, but you will be here worry-free because we will make sure that it's taken care of. I need you to hear that.
Thank you for that, Donna.
I need that to be heard. Okay.
Thank you for that. Denise, thank you for that. So important. Just thinking about the comments that have been shared this morning and the role of systems supporting this, because Donna hit it on the head. This is about resources and dollars at the end of the day. How do we support system leaders and systems so that you guys have the resources that you need to be more engaging and innovative in the services that you provide?
Well, it's going to piggyback on some things that Donna shared and was actually going to share it, but she has already. I wanted to clarify, unfortunately, about public school versus private. So if our kids in foster care attend a public university, we will pay for it. So that's where the advocacy is needed, Fred, because I agree, Donna, our kids should be able to attend any school that you want to. As I said, we're trying to normalize it. The opportunities that our kids have, we want our kids in foster care to have the same opportunities to include where you want to attend college. So we need advocacy on the state level, on the federal level, so that our kids have more choices. Also wanted to share that we shared here before, and Fred, as a licensing of foster parents, that we lack foster parents. We are desperately in need of foster parents. Right now in Mecklenburg County, we have 458 kids in custody, and at YFS, we only have 85 foster parents. For almost 500 kids in care and 80+ foster parents that are licensed by the Department of Social Services. Of course, we contract with other agencies to place our children, but again, we have a need for foster parents. I do want to share that, to Donna's point and everyone here, we need folks who are committed to our kids in foster care, non-paid folks that are committed to our kids in care. We've started a program in Mecklenburg where mentoring sometimes can scare some people. They're thinking that it's going to be too great. The responsibility is too great. Well, you don't have to mentor, but you can be a social connection for our kids in care. You can visit this child, you can take the child out, you can hang out, you can do whatever you want, as long as you reach out to that child one time a month. Because again, we don't want the social workers, those of us who are paid, to be the only people that our kids in foster care can reach out to. And I have to give a shout out, and Ms. Carmelita is aware of this, and we keep referencing her because she works very closely with us and our older youth in care. I was excited when in 2018, when North Carolina adopted extended foster care. So we're able to work now, we're able to extend foster care to age 21 for our kids, because prior to that, at 17, when a kid was aging out of foster care, unfortunately, we were saying, well, you know, I wish you well. I hope everything goes okay. So now that's not the case. I have a group of social workers that work with our young adults ages 18 to 21. We're going to make sure that they have housing. We're going to make sure that they are working. We're going to make sure that if you want to attend college, that we're going to do that. But again, we can't do it by ourselves. We need others. So those of you who are in the room today, if you don't want to be a foster parent, contact us. We can connect you with our kids who just need someone who is not paid to work with them.
Thank you, Denise. Pat, I want to pivot to you. You have a gift of being able to talk to people and inspire them sometimes when they don't believe in themselves. So what do you say to someone who is kind of on the fence about getting involved and helping kids? If you were to look them in the face and have a cup of coffee with them, why should they do it? Like, how do you encourage them?
So let me say that when Fred introduced me, he called me his older sister. And so in true fashion, I'm going to answer a different question and not the one he just asked me.
All right, go ahead.
Because I'm the big sister. So I'm gonna come back to Fred's, but I gotta piggyback on these two comments right away. So this whole notion of a child having choice to go where they want to go. So my biggest fight in my 13 years at Johnson C. Smith was the fact that the money did not follow the students. So I targeted my energy on kids from California and from Connecticut and from New York and from, I'm happy and proud to say, Cuyahoga County, Cleveland, Ohio, where I come from, because they let their money follow the kid. So my students that came from my hometown, not only could they choose to go to a private school, they received a check for $500 every month from their state office to support them while they were there. So they put their money where their mouth was. But I want to give a shout out to Charles Ballard, who is not here, and Denise is representing him so well. He comes from a state where the money follows the kid. I had never seen that before I met Charles. Connecticut's money for their youth in care, the gentleman that is the director for them called me directly at Smith, and he said, Ms. Newell, my kids can choose to go wherever they want in the country, and we will pay for it. So there is already a precedent for letting the money follow the kid. This is nothing new. North Carolina needs to just get on board. So I just need to get that out there, Fred. That's the only reason I had to go left on that. The other thing I wanted to talk about was that statistic. Having been a former social worker in the area of youth and family services, hearing that kids didn't want to go to college. Everybody that was aging out, well, you know, they don't want to go, Pat, is what we were told. I never sat down with a kid that told me he didn't want to go. Never in my career did a student tell me, oh, it's just not something I want to do. It was something they weren't encouraged to do, and then back it up with there was no support to do it. But I got to speak to one more thing, and while I am very much applauding what Denise just said about extended foster care to 21, having educated my own children and having those college degrees hanging on walls, including masters, The average kid doesn't graduate by
Thank
the time
you.
they're 21.
That's what I was going to say.
And so what I have challenged even my wonderful states is, well, did your kid cross the stage at 21? I'm very blessed. I put the fear of God into my two daughters. They thought I was just crazy enough to actually cut them off at 21. So I have two that did it, but I promise you they were the exception and not the rule. They got to figure it out. Sometimes you change majors a couple of times. The average student doesn't graduate until they're 22 at best. At best. So this whole notion that now we've done something, I had so many kids have to come to my office at Smith to help me figure out, for me to help them figure out how to pay for that last year. Because the state that they came from was cutting them off. So I do want to say 21 is a start and not an ending place, because that's really not realistic.
Thank you, Pat.
But now, last comment is, now I want to just say to what you spoke to. So, ask your question.
So let's hold it. Let's hold that
I had to
question.
get that out.
Because what we want to do, we're at time, but there's a couple of things I just wanted to let everyone know what we're trying to do. We want to add a couple of people to this panel, so we can add chairs, and Livingstone College staff can come on board, because we want to open it up for questions from the audience, if I have it correctly. Right? So if we want to add more seats on the stage, and if those folks from Livingstone want to come up on the panel, they're free to do so. You want to say a little more?
First of all, thank you again to the panel. So everybody give them a round of applause. For the sake of time, and also for the sake, I feel, of partnership, I think there's information that not only needs to go to the audience, but to the panel as well, so that y'all know what we are trying to do in our partnership here at Livingstone. So we are actually going to take a brief time to bring up admissions, financial aid, and the bridge program, which are three entities that will be able to help. I also, as a solution-based person, I want to look at you as I say this, Ms. Donna, we are starting what we are going to call alternative fall break, and that would be for students that, cannot go home, reasons not needed. And during these times, we're going to be doing community service projects in the community, and the first group that we want to work with is you. So our first fall break is between October, the week before October 15th, right? So that week before our homecoming, we're going to have student leaders here and regular students that are willing to come do some service with you, so we can set that up before you leave. Without further ado, we're going to have Dr. Lucas, Ms. Lacey, and Mr. Tina Johnson come represent their areas, and then y'all can ask anybody questions that y'all want. Thank you so much. So whichever one of y'all want to go first, just speak about your area. Give a little spiel. I'm going to bring this mic to the crowd for a question and answer.
Thank you, Dr. Chambers. Before I get into it, y'all, let's just get a panel and Brother Fred a round of applause, man. I thought you guys provided some outstanding information. I appreciate you for all your service and contribution thus far, seriously. But good morning, family. Good morning, good morning. Happy Thursday. My name is Dr. Will Lucas, and I have the privilege of serving as the Associate Vice President of Enrollment Management here at Livingstone College. Okay, and I'm excited to have the opportunity to spend some time with you all today, but that excitement comes from me just over these last couple of months, being able to witness this first inaugural class of our Aged Out event, man, and how they have just taken advantage of their opportunity thus far, and they are all thriving, and I'm proud to say that, okay? Yeah, give that a round of applause, too. Now, I'm also excited because I know I'm talking to some new candidates that I have in the room, and I know that each of you have that same potential, okay? Now, in order to be admitted into Livingstone College, we have some very important steps you got to take first, okay? Your first step is taking your, submitting your application, okay? That's your first step. Along with that application, your second step is to submit your transcript. Okay? Now, in order to be eligible for the program, you have to have at least a 1.5 GPA, and all of our aged out candidates will be required to attend our bridge program. All right, you'll find out more information about the bridge program shortly, but just a little brief, it's a 6-week program that's going to equip your bag with every tool you possibly need to be successful here at Livingstone College. Okay? After that transcript, usually your evaluation takes place while you're still enrolled in high school. Okay? So your final transcript is also going to be necessary. Your final transcript doesn't come until after you graduate, all right? And that's going to contain your final grades, also your graduation date on the transcript as well. Now, after graduation, you got to stay on your counselors. I'm talking to all my students now. You have to stay on your counselors to assure that they are providing the information to the schools that you want to go to, okay, and that the document is official. And I need to let you know this too. Do not open the transcript. I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna have y'all say that back to me. Do not open the transcript, because if you open, it's no longer official. All right? Our last step is gonna be your enrollment fee. We have a $300 enrollment fee, and that's gonna cover your housing and orientation costs here at Livingstone College. After that fee is paid, you'll move on to Blueberry Nation orientation, also moving on to the greatest college experience you'll possibly ever have, okay, here at the Stone. And I also want to assure you guys that we're taking this Aged Out initiative very seriously, okay? And that information and that leadership is starting from the top with our president, Dr. Anthony J. Davis, and I can assure you that the customer service and the enthusiasm and energy that you will receive throughout this process is going to be unmatched, okay? Again, my name is Dr. Will Lucas, and do we open our transcripts? No. All right. So I thank you all again. Again, to apply, you want to go to our website, livingstone.edu. And for those who are interested in applying today, we'll also have on-site admission at our table outside during the event, okay? I look forward to hearing from you all and getting to meet you. Again, Dr. Will Lucas, and I look forward to meeting you all. Thank you.
Good morning. Welcome to Livingstone College. I am Ms. Lacey. I'm the Associate Vice President of Financial Aid. Now, Dr. Lucas has given you your very first step to attend Livingstone College, and that's enrollment. Your second step is to completing the FAFSA application. FAFSA is the free application for student aid. So please, please be sure that you complete that FAFSA application. One of the mistakes students make when they complete the application is not listing Livingstone College. You must list our school code in order for Livingstone to receive your FAFSA application. So please be sure that when you're completing that application, you do so. Now, many of you students in the Age Out program, typically the application for traditional students require that they have students' information and parents' information. In your case, in your situation, that will not be the case. You will not need parents' information. There are a series of questions that will be asked of you on that FAFSA application, which is one of them would be, are you in foster care? Are you an emancipated minor? Are you at risk of homelessness or a homeless student? Or are you, of course, in foster care, or, in a situation that you did not live with your parents? So that will put you in a position that you will not need parents' information. You will then be considered an independent student. So please complete your FAFSA application. My office is open and available. We do have a table outside. Please stop by and see my staff, and we'll be happy to assist you with any questions you have regarding financial aid. Again, we are here to assist you with your applications. If you need so, please do so. Give us a call. Thank you. I'm Ms. Lacey in the financial aid.
Good afternoon. My name is Antina Johnson, and I am the director of the Bridge Program here at Livingstone College. Now, it's important that I talk about the Bridge Program because we talked about the 3% that has made the decision to come to college, but only 1% actually graduates. So the Bridge Program is that support program that will give that support that allows that 3% of the aged out students coming to Livingstone College to be a part of that 1% that actually graduates. So I want to be able to give you a little bit of history of the Bridge Program here at Livingstone College so you see where we've been and where we're actually going. In 2007, the Bridge Program was created and designed by Dr. Jimmy Jenkins, which was our 12th president of Livingstone College. And the Bridge Program is designed as an academic reinforcement and behavior modification program allowing students to be able to catch up, keep up, and to soar. Now, as students sometimes foresee unforeseen circumstances and go through situations in high school that prevents them from meeting the actual requirements of becoming a traditional student and being admitted into Livingstone College. Well, Dr. Jenkins saw the vision to be able to allow these students the opportunity to come through a 6-week program, getting the actual tools and resources to be successful to become provisional students. Now, and then be successful through the actual academic year and then be elevated to traditional. Now, I do want to talk about with Dr., our 13th president, Dr. Anthony Davis, who has connected with Homes for Me, created the program Center4Hope. Now, I want to let you know that all students that are foster students that are coming in, they have met the requirements of a 2.0 GPA. Okay? So being that these students are coming in and they're going to come through the Bridge program for that support, we now offer a 2-track program for the Bridge program. So the first track is mandatory, okay, and those are those students that don't meet that GPA requirement of a 2.0. They will come through the 6-week experience to become provisional students so that they can become a traditional student by the end of their spring semester. But then we also offer the optional track, and the optional track are for those students that do meet that 2.0 grade point average requirement, but still need that support, okay? Still need that support to be able to do what they need to do, to be able to handle the transition from coming from high school to college and to be successful so that they can become that 1% of graduating students. Now, I do want to say that regardless if you're on the mandatory track or the optional track, you are still required to come through the 6-week summer experience. And what does that look like? That is 6 weeks of us being able to change your mindset, your behavior, and your attitude to be able to be successful and be part of that 1% of graduating students. So during that 6-week program, you are focusing on academics where you're able to get some reinforcements in the areas of concern such as math and English and writing. But then you also are able to partake in some courses that will give you 7 credit hours towards your graduating requirements. So you actually will start your freshman year along with the other freshmen that are coming in ahead of the freshman class. So I think that's really important. Not only will you focus on academics during that 6-week experience, but you're also going to focus on resources, getting the resources, the tools, and the strategies. You build your binder, meaning that you take enrichment sessions in the evenings that focuses on like time management, priority, goal setting, all of the things that are required, annotating, note-taking skills, everything that's required to be successful. And you also focus on some betterment skills for personal self, like financial literacy and so forth. So you also will be able to connect with other faculty and staff on Livingstone campus to be able to have what you need when fall semester rolls around for you to be able to start your matriculation here at Livingstone. And then also we focus on social aspect where you will partake in field trips, you will partake in the mentorship program that we have. We have some awesome leaders over here who were my mentors this summer that actually gave really good guidance that will, you'll go out into community service. You'll learn how to give back to your community and things of that sort so that you'll be able to have what you need all the way around to be successful. So those are the Bridge program. So once you come through the 6-week experience, it doesn't just stop there. You actually begin the Bridge academic year, meaning that what you got during the 6-week program, we make sure that you maintain it. So you have certain benchmarks that you have to meet throughout the fall semester and throughout the spring semester to make sure that you are successful, because the mission of the Bridge program is to focus and increase the persistence and the retention and the graduation rate so that these aged out foster students can become a part of that 1% of graduating students. And so you will also be put in learning communities. You'll still continue to have to do enrichment sessions throughout the year, your study halls, whatever is necessary and whatever is needed to make sure that you are successful. Now, this mandatory track is mandatory, and the optional, once the optional students come through the 6-week program, they become traditional students, but they become traditional students with stipulations, meaning that you're still under the Bridge program, you're still required to do certain things with the Bridge program to ensure that you have that support and you're implementing what you've gotten during the 6 weeks to be successful, all right? While the mandatory track, yes, you're mandated to be a part of the program, but instead of the mandatory students will become provisional, where the optional track students will be traditional with stipulations. So I just want to make sure that I make that clear, that it's open to every student, whether you're below the requirements or whether you meet the requirements needing just the support. Now, I do want to end with this. Proverbs 24, verses 3-4. This is what the Bridge program stands on. Any enterprise, and in this case, enterprise is building that college career for the students. Any enterprise is built upon wise planning, becomes becomes strong through common sense, and profits wonderfully by keeping abreast of the facts. That is the scripture that Bridge program is standing on to ensure we are building that foundation of success for those students so that they can become a part of that 1% rate of graduating. Thank you.
Real quick, everybody that has a blue wristband, hold it up for me. This is very important because we have festivities out for y'all on the front lawn, and you're gonna need this wristband to get your free funnel cake. So please make sure you keep that intact so you get that free funnel cake when you get outside. There's gonna be music playing and things of that nature. Before we transition, don't lose me yet. Before we transition, we're gonna give a slight chance.
Dr. Chambers, I ain't got no wristband, though.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, I was looking for mine.
It's for the guests.
Y'all got a wristband? Y'all got
But
Y'all
before
want
we get
funnel
into
cake?
that,
I
hold
want
on.
some
Dylan Dossity, please stand up for me. Dylan is going to be walking around to help give the mic to anybody that asks questions, and everything I do is strategic. Forgive me for putting your business out there, Mr. Dossity, but Dylan aged out about 3 years ago, and he is sitting there now as Mr. Oak of Livingstone College. So what we are saying is not something that we just are saying, this is something that we do. So understand that as Dylan is walking around, you also may have some questions for him, because anytime you want to do something, it's imperative that you speak to somebody that's done it. So one more time for Dylan. If you have any questions, Dylan will come around and get with you. After that, after that proceeding, if there's no questions or there's not a lot of questions, we'll give you a short time to come take a picture. But then you have to go outside, get your free t-shirt, your free bags, and start this party on the lawn, okay? All right, so raise your hand if you got a question so Dylan can get to you.
While he's going there, I wanted to say one thing to those of you who are connected to young people or to the young people. When you heard of any fees or you're asked for any fees, I want you to come to us so that you don't have to worry about those fees. Where y'all going? Y'all going to get your funnel cake? Y'all just like, okay, it's like that? Okay. They're going to get their stuff. Okay, I don't blame you.
But you did tell them.
Yeah, but I did tell you, any fees, you come and see us, we'll make sure that they're taken care of.
Okay, good morning. I guess it came down to me or funnel cakes.
Yeah.
And I see I lost. My name is Kenneth Adams, and I'm cousin with
Hold that
Pat
mic a little
Newell.
closer up, sir.
Kenneth Adams, I'm cousin with Pat Newell, and I want to say thank you for getting me up this morning and bringing me here. I was trying to figure out how to construct this question. So you guys touched on something, and I want to know if you guys can go just a little further, because you talked about the partnerships, and you talked about funding, and you talked about legislation. So as young people lose an eligibility, they gain an eligibility, the eligibility to vote for legislators who you guys have to partner with. So if you can talk about how important it is that you have legislators locally and statewide that you have to partner with to get the funding and the other things that you need. If you could talk about that and tell them and talk about how important it is that they vote and make sure that they get active in getting the proper legislators in place to help you guys do what you're doing.
I think we got it. Thank you. Anyone want to touch that? If not, I'm gonna pitch it to Denise, not to catch you off guard, but because you work with Mecklenburg County and you work with the legislature appropriating funds, and you know how important it is to vote. Any thoughts or reflections on this question?
Well, actually, as I said earlier, advocacy is the biggest thing. Don't allow us to continue to make decisions for you. Let us make decisions with you. So your voice needs to be heard. Find out who your elected officials are. Email them, call them, let them know, I am a foster child. My voice needs to be heard. And rally together. Carmelita with Say So has a group of teens that are advocates for kids in foster care. You don't have to, it'd be great if you joined the Say So team, but you don't have to be a part of that to advocate for yourself. So find out who your local elected officials are, call them, email, let them know that your voice needs to be heard. Again, don't allow them to make decisions for you, but with you.
Yeah, thank you for that, Denise. We got to become more active
Fred,
in our communities. Yes, question over here?
I just
Oh,
wanted
I'm
to
sorry,
say before,
I'm sorry.
yes, I'm sorry,
One
just
more
to
and then-
reiterate, like, like, you should be involved with, like, whatever groups you all are connected with, you should, because I think what will lead you all to make voting relevant is you being around people that have the knowledge and the wherewithal about whether, I think there are certain milestones in our lives where we're like, dang, this is actually important now. And so just to reiterate, being a part of Say So, you will start to build that community in other organizations as well, where you build those relationships, and then you will be able to take that information as to why it's important to vote, why it's relevant for you, and actually how to do it. So I would encourage you all to be curious and become a part of, Say So. We always do stuff where we're like, all right, we have this, this bill, we're trying to push it. We need y'all to like call or email and say, just like she said, hey, I'm in foster care. There's this bill that's going, and we'll give you all of that. You ain't got to come up, you ain't have to conjure it up by yourself. We'll give you that, and you just let them know, hey, this is in my best interest and the best interest of other young people. But I think also making it casual to have conversations about voting in doses so that young people can take that and see how relevant it is.
Thank you, Marcella. Next question?
And
Yep,
really
hold
quick,
on.
Before we go to the next question, let me just last announcement. I'm sorry. Again, for the people here that have fun on the front yard, I'm holding up a passport. Can y'all see that? So basically what you're going to do with this, you're going to get this from a student leader outside. Her name is Tiana. Every table that you go to gather information today, you're going to get a signature at that table. The people that have all the signatures or the most signatures, we're going to raffle off prizes for them at the end of the day. So before you leave, if you got that wristband, make sure you also get a passport so that you can win some prizes, okay? Thank you. I promise the last time I'm going to interrupt.
and Fred, just really quick,
Yeah.
A lot of times people wait for the major elections every 4 years, the presidential elections, elections that county commissioners, local district people, those are really important because they have the opportunity to make policy at the lower level. We wait till the big ones come. So I would advise you that, I just went and voted the other day. So again, there's elections that affect you where you are now. So I would encourage you, find out as much as you can and then exercise your right to vote.
Thank you for that, George. Next question. We're winding down. We're going to take 2 or 3 more questions, and then we're going to head out to the lawn and have some fun. Yeah, question.
Hi, good morning. My name is Wendy. I have 2 questions. One, I'm an adult evening student here at Livingstone, but prior to that, I was also a foster parent, but in a different state. So I'm wondering, how can I maybe try to be a foster parent in this state, and what is the actions I should take? My second question is, I'm also an owner of a dog grooming and pet service, and I would like to offer my services for any type of emotional support. Sometimes there are kids and students that have homes that had pets or emotional animal supports that they cannot bring to school. So I offer that, as like a backup plan, to visit, read, just to help with, anxiety, stress, or anything of that matter. So.
Wow, thank you. Yeah, thank you for that question. Denise, you want to take it?
I'm not sure what county you reside in, but if you're in Mecklenburg, on mecnc.gov, we have all information regarding fostering and adopting. So that's on our website. We also have monthly education and orientation sessions regarding what it takes and what you need to do to be a foster parent. And for Rowan.
If you're in Rowan County, you can see me.
Thank you for that. Next question. We're winding down. 2 more, and we're going to wrap up. Yes, 3 more. Okay. Yes, sir.
Yes, my name is Melvin, and I'm from New Haven, Connecticut.
Uh-oh. Okay, brother.
Yes. I aged out in the welfare system, but the problem with me is I aged out in the welfare system and wound up in the prison system. And one of the problems was when I was younger, I had a lot of problems. I had a lot of troubles. I was a mixed up kid, and I didn't get no help. And now that's what it hasn't changed, because these kids don't get any help. They're not even going to make it to graduating from high school. You know, they need some kind of help that can deter them from, when they leave the welfare system, to keep away from the prison system, because it seems like that's what it's meant for us to be in this system, and we're following suit. But I thank God I had enough sense to go to school, prison, and graduate from high school and do some college and stuff like that. So, you know, when I got out when I was 23, I never been back. And it was funny. The part that I laugh about the most is when those people told me when I left that door that 1 out of every 9 people that go to prison don't come back. Well, guess what? I was that one.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Next question. Good to see some men standing up and getting involved. We need more brothers and men in this work.
Good morning. My name is Antonio Henley. I want to first say to my sister, Pat, I love you. It's good to see you. And I look forward to...
Say your name again, brother, so she can know who you are.
Antonio Henley.
Okay.
My question is a bit complicated. I'm struggling on an emotional level. So I want you as a panel to hear the earnestness of my question, because I'm needing you to reconcile something for me, and I think for the young people in the room who have listened to you. There's a disconnect between the notion of temporary and attachment. I happen to have benefited from an education in psychology. I have also, unfortunately, had contact with the system as a parent and had to deal with a child in a system. So I'm struggling with this question on an emotional level. How to reconcile this notion that the child needs attachment. Those attachments are to people, real people. But the structure, the context, everything is temporary. And the same fear that that child comes into the system holding, the potential adults on the other side also have. We're asking both parties to be attached temporarily. There's a conflict there. Help me figure that out.
Deep question.
Can I speak to that for
Yeah.
a moment? Yes. So one of the things when Home for Me, when the vision came to me, it was for the consistency and the connection with young people that are in the system to help guide them and stay with them. We don't have a cutoff date. You become family. And so we're making sure that you are okay on the journey and that you have everything you need. That is why we say together we win. Together we can provide everything, but you need that connector and that connection so that they can become that consistency in their lives. Because as you just stated, and as we know, as Denise just said, there's so many. And then when they go from one place to the other and there's that disconnect, that's trauma, that's emotion, that's all of that. And then we expect them to try to bond again. And then if they have bonded, sometimes they don't even know why they're being moved from place to place. And now they have to disconnect from what they bonded to. So they're fearful to bond again with someone else. But when you have people and organizations, and we don't even like calling ourselves organizations, we like family that is consistent with them, we're like, what's going on? That's why the first thing I said to my daughter coming in the house, it was day one. We didn't know what was going to happen, but I made up my mind and let her understand, this is it. Together, we got this. Whatever it is you go through. I didn't know what trauma she was coming with. I don't know, but I was committed, and that's what it's going to take. Key commitment to the consistency, the connection, and being the connector in their lives. Why? That we were talking back saying, we might not know each other, but I already know this is my family. I already know that, and I think that's an advantage to have been raised in the system, that God makes connections for us that become our family. My brother right there, Bishop Ferguson, that is my brother. There's no blood between us except the blood that was shed for us. But that is my brother. I don't have to worry or wonder about anything. And God connected us about 6-7 years ago. And there's no question for the rest of my life, that's my brother. And so he does that. And that way, mentally, emotionally, physically, they're not worried about if the social worker retires or if the person moves away or if they have to go somewhere else, if they have to go to another school, they don't have to worry about if there's a fee that has to be paid or that type of thing. They can say, hey, Grandma, guess what? I need some deodorant. I brought some socks up here yesterday. Come on, somebody.
It is.
I'm saying that is so key, and that is a solution to what's happening with our young people.
Yeah, thank you, Donna. This issue obviously is so deep and so necessary, and we don't come together as family and as a community and talk enough about this. But the best way to fix something is to talk about it and spend time on it. So we have one final question. It's right around 12 noon. We got to wrap up, but we're going to have one other question here, and then we're going to wind down. Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Jacqueline Davis. I'm the First Lady here at Livingstone College. And I'd like to welcome
I didn't
you to
even
the
recognize
campus.
you there, First Lady. How you doing? I see you now.
I'm good, thank you. I just wanted to just thank you for the panel and all that's taking place today. I also want to just bring awareness to my platform here as the First Lady of Livingstone College, whereas we are focusing on mental health awareness. It is so vital and so important. We hope and pray that you will trust us to send your students to us and know that we will take care of them and focus on their mental health. I would also like the other members of the Mental Health Task Force to stand. We are partnering with the psychology department, our counseling department as well, our coaches. We have clergy as well. Last night, I won't go into details, but last night our circle was broken on this campus, so we are hurting on today. But please know, for the students that are here, we are praying for you. Please take a look at the resources that are standing in the room and know that you can reach out to us for anything that you may need, or if you know of others who may be in need as well. Also, don't forget, the other day we had a QR code that you could scan to look at the available resources focused on your mental health. Please take a look at that as well, okay? But if you trust your students to come to us, and we know that you will, send them to Livingstone College, where we will focus on their mental health and their awareness. Thank you.
Thank you. As we wind down, people do well what they do often. Let me say that one more time as we wrap up. People do well what they do often. That means that if we want to fix this and get better at supporting young people, we've got to come together more often. We have to talk about it, and we have to formulate solutions. Thank you, and now we're going to move out to the lawn and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you. Give our panel a big round of applause.